Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about all the books that I read in May, and let me tell you, this month, reading wise, I read the same amount that I read in April. I read 18 books, but I actually had a lot more 5 stars. So a lot more books that I actually enjoyed and I am excited to talk about. So I will jump right into my stats first, and then we'll discuss the books. So if you're not interested in that, you just skip ahead. Here we go. For May, like I said, I read 18 books. I read physically 1,178 pages, which looking back, that is the most that I have done this year to date for each month. Hours wise, I listened to 94, which is pretty average for me. I would say probably like, let's see, looking back, 97, 58, 58, 131. 94 is pretty good, I guess. This month, sorry, I was looking at the wrong spot. So for this month, my average rating was 4.2277777. Last month it was 3.5. So 4.2 compared to 3.5. Much better reading month. Genre-wise, I had 1 contemporary, 1 fantasy, 2 graphic novels, 1 magical realism, 4 mystery, 3 nonfictions, 2 romances, 1 sci-fi, and 1 thriller. I think that is also pretty on brand. I'm trying to read more nonfiction. So the fact I got to 3 this month is pretty good. Kind of 4 too, because I have a graphic novel that is a memoir. So, formatting wise, I had 11 audiobooks, 1 ebook, and then 6 physical books, which you'll see some of them were kids books, but you know, they still count. So, we had 10 adult books, 3 middle grades, 1 YA, and there should be 1 children's book on here. I think I forgot to put that on the list. And then ratings wise, I had 8 5 stars this month. That's so good. That I'm very excited for that. 1 4.5, 5 4-star reads, 1 3.5, and then 3 3 stars. I didn't have any books in this category that were under 3 stars, so that feels really good to say. So jumping into it here, I have 2 4.5-star books that I mentioned in my April book haul, that being Red Pizzas for a Blue Count and The Curse of the Cheese Pyramid by Geronimo Stilton. This one I've actually had since I was a kid, but this one I recently picked up at a independent bookstore that I went to. These books, they're like little adventure books, kind of similar to Magic Tree House, if anyone's read those. We're following Geronimo Stilton, going on different expeditions. So in this one, he goes to Egypt for a journal. He runs a newspaper in his like New York City-esque town for the mice. And then this one, his cousin sends him or calls him and is like, hey, I need your help. And he is in, it's like Transylvania, but they call it like Transylvania. That's what it was called. Yeah, both these were 4 stars, very nostalgic for me. Keeping up with the nostalgic theme, I'll just get one of the other kids' books out of the way. The 7 Silly Eaters, I saw this on Book Outlet for like $2, and I used to love this book when I was a kid, so I picked it up. My friend was actually at my house when my books came in, and so she read it to me, so that was really like like when you're in like kindergarten or 1st grade and your teacher reads you a story. So very fun. But in this one, we have Miss Peters. Each of her kids eats different things, and they will only eat one thing. So like one kid only drinks milk, one kid only drinks pink lemonade, one kid only eats bread, etc., etc., and it has to be like homemade stuff, otherwise they will not eat it. Yeah, so that's what this one is about. I gave it 5 stars just because it's so good and like nostalgia wise. So now that we got those taken care of, we can get into probably what everyone else is more likely to be here for. To start us off, oh my goodness. To start us off, I have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I rated this 3 stars, 3.5. Let's consult 3. Oh, and I accidentally missed a book. My bad. We'll come back to it after this. So this is Book Lovers. I gave it 3 stars. This one we are following Nora Stevens and Charlie Lastra. Nora writes books and Charlie is an editor, and they end up working together on a story. So most of this book follows Nora and her sister on like a vacation, summer vacation trip type thing. And Nora's sister has like this whole list of things that they want to do, and one of them is like to get her a date. And then while they're in the town, they find out that the editor guy actually lives in that town. So her sister's trying to set her up, but most of the book wasn't even like a romance, really, which everyone who's been talking about this book has said that it's mostly like following Nora and her sister and kind of like their sisterly bond relationship that they have. A lot of Emily Henry's romances they read more like literary fiction or contemporary fiction with romance sprinkled in, compared to usually in romance, it's the other way around. It's romance with contemporary literary fiction sprinkled in. And another thing about her books is I saw somewhere on like TikTok or Instagram, someone compared like all her guys in her books read the same. And now that I've seen that, I cannot get it out of my head. All 4, spoiler, I read Happy Place like yesterday. All of her characters, at least the male characters, are all the same. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, a lot of them are the same. And now that I've seen that, I can't get it out of my head. They're all the same guy, just dating like slightly different women. If you have read Beach Read by her, I think you will really enjoy this one, because for some reason those two are very super similar. You'll probably like Happy Place too. I am more of a People We Meet on Vacation type of girly. I gave that one 5 stars. I don't know, something about that one I just felt super drawn to. I think the fact that they were like best friends beforehand. But this one, it was okay. I can see it doing it for other people. It just didn't super do it for me. All right, so the book that I accidentally skipped was The Deceivers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Who's to say? Margaret Peterson Haddix. This was another 3-star read for me. This is the second book to The Strangers, which I read last month. I can't super get into it without spoiling the first book, but this book, sci-fi, if you don't care about spoilers for the first book, if you do care, skip over the next few seconds. But so in the first book, the mom goes missing of these 3 kids. Their mom goes missing, and come to find out she's in this like alternate reality universe, not reality, like an alternate universe. So in this one, we kind of get a sneak peek into that universe. The kids are kind of trying to figure out, 1, how do we even get into that universe, and then 2, how do we get our mom out of that universe. So that's what the majority of it was. It was okay. I did enjoy the first book more, I think, because I didn't know about that like alternate reality or alternate universe type of plot point. It is a trilogy, so there is one more. I do have a hold on it on Libby, so I'll get to it whenever I get to it, but I am not dying to read it as fast as I can, given the second book was only a 3-star. Okay, guys. Up next, we have what is probably going to be one of my favorite books of this year. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Noelle read this either last year or 2 years ago when it came out, and she loved it so much. I did not think this book was for me, but boy was it. Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. Which, fun fact, Michelle is actually in a band, which I didn't even know about. But this is a memoir. I actually listened to this on Libby. And while I was listening to it, I was like, this is so good. I need to highlight, I need to tab, I need to go to the store to buy it now. So I was already like over halfway done with the book. I might have even been like 75% through it when I went to Barnes & Noble and I said, you're mine. You're coming home with me. Yeah, so I have some tabs in there. I cried like this entire time. Basically every single page. So the biggest plot point in this is Michelle discussing her grief and like anticipatory grief because her mom gets diagnosed with cancer, and it's kind of her dealing with like, so her mom isn't dead yet, but like she's dealing with her mom being sick and dealing with like the anticipation that her mom is going to pass soon, which is a very hard thing to read about, which is funny because in my last book, or my last monthly wrap up, I was like, I need to stop reading books about grief. And then like a week into May, I picked this up, but I'm so glad I did because it was so good. I'm definitely going to have to reread this sometime in the future because it was just a very emotional, moving read for me personally, as someone who, Michelle doesn't really have that great of a relationship with her mom, whereas I do. I have probably one of the best relationships that someone could have with their mom. So it's just very interesting to hear her perspective on things, and kind of go through the path of grief with her. And also knowing like grief is not a linear line. It definitely is like a roller coaster, goes up and down, and like some days are going to be way better than others. But if you haven't picked this up yet, I would definitely recommend. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10, would recommend, beautiful, excellent, great, loved it. Moving along, another 5-star book that I actually went and picked up after I had already finished reading it. If you've seen last month's wrap up, this will be no surprise to you, but it is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the 3rd book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. I read Take a Hint, Dani Brown last month after being on a long hiatus from Chloe Brown. Chloe Brown got like a 3-star from me, Dani Brown got a 5, and Eve Brown also got a 5. I don't think this is super spoiler, but I didn't realize that this book has autism rep, which I think is great because I think I've read like one other book, maybe 2, where the character or person has autism. So reading it in such like a popular romance book was very eye-opening to me. I think what I really liked about this one is it takes place at a bed and breakfast, which I think is super fun. And it is a little bit of like Grumpy Sunshine-esque, but it's not. So Eve needs to act her age, get it together, get a job. So she goes for an interview as a chef at this bed and breakfast, and somehow while she is leaving the interview that did not go very well, it went okay, she runs over the owner of the bed and breakfast, who consequently is going to be her boss, and also the love interest. And so because of that, his friend invites her to stay and like take care of the house, and like someone's got to take care of the house, so why not be the probably only applicant that they had. Also, I really liked this because like most romances that follow this type of like series, you get to see the past relationships, which I thought was really cute. And I also thought it was really cute, I can't remember if I think it was Red from Chloe Brown, but Red like plays a part at the very end of this when Eve is trying to get, oh gosh, what's his name? Jacob. Eve is trying to get Jacob back. I thought it was really cute seeing Red act like, or treat Eve in the way like he would treat his little sister. So super here for that. So I'm very happy that I have finished a series this year, because it's probably one of the only ones. I'm not super good at, I'm good at starting series, not necessarily good at finishing them. But that's okay. Moving on, we have Agatha Christie, The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side. This is, I think, like the 8th. And I gave this a 4-star. This has been one of my favorite Miss Marples to date. I really like this one because, so how do I explain this? So there is this big mansion that actually is in a previous Miss Marple story, and there is these 2 really famous people move into the mansion, and while they're having like a meet and greet-esque situation, one of the guests actually has like a seizure and dies. So they're kind of figuring out, well, the drink that girl was drinking was supposed to be meant for the main actress homeowner, and so everyone's trying to figure out like why would they have wanted this girl killed, blah blah blah, whatever. Anyway, I think the end of this was super good, and the way that we came to the conclusion of who was meant to be killed and why was super good. 4 stars, like I said. All right, so moving on, we have one of my most anticipated releases of 2023, Witchlings 2, The Golden Frog Games by Claribel A. Ortega. I don't know why, but I have, even though I gave it 5 stars, I have the hardest time trying to explain what the first book is about. So in the first book, we're following Seven, Valley, and Thorn. Those are the main characters. And they live in this town, witchy magical town, where everybody, once they get to a certain age, get picked to go into different like sororities, kind of. And unfortunately, the 3 of them get picked as the Witchling Spares, which is like, nobody wants that. That's like bottom of the barrel. Nobody wants that. So in that one, they kind of have to prove themselves as worthy. And they kind of figure out like, this is probably what we're meant to do. The 3 of us are supposed to be a little group. So super cute. If you like Nevermore or Amari and the Great Game, or Amari and the Night Brothers, Amari and the Great Game too, you will probably love these. Same with A Pinch of Magic. Those, like, all of those are like my favorite middle grade type of witchy fun books, including Witchlings. So in this one, there is actually a Golden Frog game. It's like a tournament game that one of the girls gets put into somehow. But on top of like the fun, I love like books about games. But besides that part, something happens at the end of book 1 that is kind of a plot point in book 2 that is discussed a little bit more. I really enjoy this series. I think the way that like being different is talked about as like a good thing, overall a good thing. I mean, there are like bullies, like your typical middle grade book, but like the way that being different is talked about, and like the politics, while also like staying young and fun, I think is super fun. Would recommend. Also, look how cute the little cover is with the little raccoon and the animals and the girlies. The inside cover. I just love these girls. I think they're so good. I love like a cute little girl gang. And I just wish that, I mean, I'm sure when I was younger there were books like these, but I just feel like so nostalgic for these books, even though it literally like just came out this past month. So if, like I said, if you're into Nevermore, Amari and the Night Brothers, A Pinch of Magic. I'm sure you will absolutely love The Witchlings. Next, I actually have one that very much surprised me. I read it in like one sitting, and that is Shady Hollow by Juno Black. This was a 5-star read, funny enough. In this one, it's like a cozy mystery mixed with Zootopia. That's like the best way. Honestly, if you are looking for Zootopia with like, I mean, Zootopia did have a mystery in it, but like adult murder mystery, I think you will super enjoy this. You do have to get past that they're like all animals, and so they're not all going to be like, picture them as human animals. That's what I did, and I had the most absolute fun, awesome of a time reading it. So in this one we have Vera, who is the fox on the main cover. She's a reporter, sniffs things out, see that? And there is a frog, I don't know if it says on here, a toad, actually, a curmudgeonly toad, who turns up dead. And that's really all you need to know. I think this was just super fun and cute and a nice little way to pass my time. I definitely will be picking up book 2 in the future. Next, The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. This, unfortunately, was a 3-star. I don't know why I am so confused by that, because most of her books I've either given a 3 or a 4-star. So none of her books are super standout, but they are the definition of like mystery thriller fluff for me. It's nice to just sit down, read it in one go, or listen to in one go. This one, we are following a past and present timeline. So if that's not your thing, you probably won't like this. But I don't know how long ago it was, but years ago, there was this tragic accident where these 2 buses drove off, got in a car accident, something or other. And there was only like 6-7 survivors in the entire like senior class. And so none of these kids were really friends before that, but after that, because of the tragedy, they really come together. And for some reason, each year they like rent out a house and kind of spend that like chunk of time around the anniversary together. Except as of late, one of the people dies. And then early on in the reunion of this year, one of them kind of disappears, goes missing. No one hears from her. So kind of wondering, like, are we being picked off one by one? Is something more sinister occurring? Yeah, I didn't think it wasn't as crazy as I was expecting it to be. It was okay. It was an okay read. Kind of hard to talk about books when they're just meh, but it was just meh. Next, I have another 5-star read. Good for me. Pat myself on the back. And that is Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. Maya, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not entirely sure. Maya is a genderqueer author who uses air pronouns. So in this, we are following just kind of on their journey to kind of discovering being non-binary and asexual. This I also, once again, read in one sitting. It was super good. Some of the pictures are very graphic. For instance, there's one scene in here where E gets their ear period, and it is, even for someone who does get a period, it was like super graphic and like kind of took me back a little bit. But yeah, it was just nice to see the journey and kind of seeing how different people come to terms differently with who they are. moving on, I have another manga, actually, The Liminal, which by Junji Ito. I talked about this in my April book haul, and I said in that video that oh, I don't think this is a short story. I think this is the first novella. No, I was so wrong. This is a short story collection. There's like, I think 4 short stories in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. This one, I gave it a 4-star. I don't have much to say. If you've read any of Junji Ito's work, it's very unsettling. He's very good at what he does. Like that. Gorgeous. Scary. Stunning. But none of these stories like super stood out to me, so it was probably a little bit more of a 3.5, but oh my god, like scary. Maybe it does deserve a 4 if I reread it. I know this one dealt a lot with like one of the stories deals with like, I mean, nuns, obviously. There's a woman who thinks that she is like the next Mary coming of Christ type of person. And also trigger warning for pedophilia. That kind of like came out of nowhere. There's this girl who's at like a boarding school, and all of a sudden I don't know what you would call it, like principal, kind of, the headmaster starts like getting a thing for her. She's like 14, 15, I don't know, 16. Either way, she's a child. It was very weird. But yeah, not much to write home about for this one. Another 5-star read, Broken in the Best Way Possible by Jenny Lawson. This is another memoir. Jenny Lawson is very good at talking about her life while simultaneously like making fun of herself and like making fun of the mental illnesses and chronic illnesses that she has. In this one, the most notable thing for me, there's a section where she's actually talking about like talking to her insurance company, because each chapter is a little bit different, but in this specific chapter, she's like writing a letter to her insurance company, talking about like the medications that she needs to live, to be like a productive person of society and not be like depressed or laying in bed all day because of her rheumatoid arthritis. And in it, there's such a good quote that I wish I would have been able to tab it while I was reading it, because she says, like, you don't want me to die, but you don't care if I live. And that like instantly made me like start crying, because that's so true. Like, as a nurse, I see so many things that would just devastate you guys. Honestly, that like seeing our healthcare not actually be healthcare and not actually like take care of people is really hard to see every single day, especially like hearing it from her perspective. So yeah, I just really like the way that she talks about different things and like talks about depression and anxiety and etc., etc. All right, another 5, 4.5, super close. Ellie Engel Saves Herself by Leah Johnson. Brand new release by Leah Johnson, first middle grade, super cute. I think if I was the intended audience for this, I probably would have given it a 5-star. But in this one, we are following Ellie, obviously, and she essentially, I should have known, because the first like page is a quote from a superhero. She goes through like a really dramatic earthquake, which never happens in her town, and she gets superpowers. she gets the power to like bring things back to life, which I absolutely love that. I love that. Also love that this is like underneath, super cute. Oh, never actually read the back for this, but this one, on top of being a superhero, Ellie also has the struggle of always being, I don't know if, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say this is the struggle, but she's always in her best friend's limelight. And obviously that's kind of hard with her being a superhero. So she also has a crush on her, and like kind of coming to terms with like her sexuality and who she is, and trying to remain friends with this girl. I will say her friend, what's her name? Because Abby is not a good friend. She really isn't. She really sucks, honestly, like the entire book. Like partway through, she tells Ellie, she's like, you can't tell anyone about your superpower. You can't use your superpower unless you're with me. Manipulative. That's not what a good friend would say. And then her friend finds out that she is like using her superpowers anyway. Ooh. She finds out that her friend is using her superpowers anyway, and she gets super upset and mad at her. Girl, it's not yours to be upset about. Like, I mean, obviously it's a middle grade, so they make up at the end, but I don't know, something about that just rubbed me the wrong way. And I know there has to be like some sort of tension in a book, but yeah, she was just not a good friend. And Ellie was a really good friend. Ellie did the absolute most the entire book. Did she go undercover and stalk her friend while she was with another friend? Yeah. But you know what? Abby did some worse things, in my humble opinion. And I think Ellie overall is a good friend. Case in point. All right, my last, not the last book here, but the last children's book. If you know one thing about me, it's that I am a Swiftie. And so when I saw this little golden book, Taylor Swift, it's literally 24 pages. The shortest book that I'll probably read this year. I had to pick it up. Super cute. I gave it 4 stars. Not much else to say besides that. It just kind of talks about quick little snippets in her life. And there's even a page with her and Jack Antonoff, my love. Oh, and her cats, super cute. But yeah, I mostly just got this to be with my Taylor Swift shelf I have back there. Yeah. Next is a brand new release. It literally came out May 30th. I was grateful enough to get a copy from NetGalley, and then once the book came out, I went and I picked it up. And that is The Night in Question by Kathleen Glasgow and Liz Lawson. This is the second book in the Agathas series, the first one being the Agathas. In this one, it's their mystery series. This one, we're following the 2 girls as there was a Sadie Hawkins dance at school. One girl gets stabbed and like hit over the head and actually needs to be put into a medical induced coma. And so because of that, she cannot like say herself what happened. Rebecca is the name of the girl who gets stabbed. And then Park is found standing over top of her, and one of our main characters sees that and is like, you know, I saw her standing over, but I don't think she was actually the one who stabbed her. And so Alice and Iris, our 2 main characters, have to kind of figure out what happened. And it really gave big, if any of you have seen the Nancy Drew movie, how that's like old Hollywood and they're like in this house. It really gives off those vibes. If you like that movie, you'll probably like this book. While reading the ebook, I gave it 3.5 stars. Since then, I have listened to over half of the audiobook, and I think it's gonna be a 4. Not like a ton has changed between the arc that I read and the audiobook, but I think taking it in the audiobook setting feels better, maybe because it's not taking me as long, because I feel like when I was reading the ebook, I was just trudging through it. Kind of took me some time. Besides the point. But I do want to continue on in this series. I think this one was really fun with the old Hollywood aspect of it. But besides that, and now, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary folk, we have finally reached my last final book, which was another 5-star. The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. If you don't know, this is also the third book in the Thursday Murder Club series. I rated the first one 5, I rated the second one a 4-star, and this is another 5-star. In this one, we are following our 4 elderly retirement home people as they solve a cold case. So that was fun. It was also fun because I was listening to the audiobook of this, and at the very end, the last like 45 minutes of the audiobook was actually an interview with the author and some chick. I don't know who she was because I don't think it was the narrator. She sounded different. It could have been the same girl. I don't know. But I really liked this one. It made me very excited for book 4, but also scared. As I don't know if you could tell. Yep, I have some tabs in there. This, honestly, it's not even about like the character or the mysteries anymore. At this point, it's just the characters. They could literally be solving any case and I would enjoy myself. I just love seeing like all of their dynamics together and seeing them with like the other side characters and seeing the side characters dynamics, and like it's just so wholesome. And the way that like dying and like getting older and getting sick is talked about in this is like very emotional for me, but very heartwarming at the same time. So if you haven't yet picked up the Thursday Murder Club and you are a mystery girly, you'd need to pick up this series. It's so good and so wholesome, and I love them. And the next book doesn't come out until like September, so it's a little disappointing. But there you have it. There are all of my books that I read this past month. I'm not even going to try to hold them up because there's too many of them. Plus, I held it up in the thumbnail already because I took that thumbnail before I filmed the video. So you can see how colorful they are. It turned out very rainbow for Pride. Happy Pride Month, moving into June. But yeah, let me know if you guys have read any of these, what you read this past month, what you're hoping to pick up in June. Yeah, we talk about it in the comments. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.